On May 7th, the Pakistan Air Force used the Chinese-made J-10CE fighter to shoot down 5 Indian warplanes, including the so-called most powerful 4.5 generation fighter, the Dassault Rafale. Reuters later confirmed that none of these kills involved F-16s. Western outlets such as Business Insider credited China's provision of the higher performance PL-15E missile. Yet former PL Air Force Colonel and Chinese strategist Professor Wang Xiangsui argues that this understanding falls into the same trap as India. The greatest assistance China provided Pakistan was, in fact, 3 strategic concepts. The first strategic concept, systems warfare. In this aerial engagement, one detail stands out. All the Rafales crashed on Indian territory, while Pakistan's J-10Cs emerged unscathed. On the one hand, this was indeed thanks to the PL-15E missile's 145 kilometers range, that's 45 km longer than the Meteor missile carried by the Rafale, granting a clear advantage in beyond visual range combat. However, as early as 2022, India successfully tested the Astra II missiles on its Su-30 MKIs, claiming a 160 kilometer reach. So why didn't the Indian Air Force manage to down even a single J-10C that day? According to Defense Security Asia, during the operation, Pakistan's J-10Cs maintained complete radar and radio silence, firing missiles only from a safe, hard-to-detect distance. Target acquisition and guidance were handled by airborne early warning platforms including ZTK-03, which is also imported from China. This meant that for most of each missile's flight, the Rafale's radar warning receivers detected nothing. By the time the missile's active seeker sprang to life some 20 kilometers from the target, Indian pilots had almost no time to take effective evasive action. This tactic allows Pakistani pilots to strike from absolute safety but requires robust data links between multiple assets. In a developed data link system, proper integration can yield synergy far greater than the sum of its parts. Cross-system communication, however, often suffers severe inefficiencies. In building this data link network, Pakistan far outpaced India, an advantage consistently underestimated. Pakistan's edge came simply from standardizing its fleet. It operates just 6 fighter jet types, and all fighters procured since 2000 are Chinese-built. In contrast, India fields 14 fighter types from 5 nations. Over the past 25 years, it has acquired jets from its domestic manufacturer, Russia and France, tripling the complexity of data link integration compared to Pakistan. If one looks solely at individual performance specs, India's Air Force is not inferior, but its avionics and missile systems hail from wholly incompatible, often adversarial, Western and Russian frameworks. Times of India reveal that India's Russian and French fighters sometimes even fail to communicate, let alone guide each other's missiles. This mix-and-match approach has exacted the bloody price. In 2019, India's own air defense missile misidentified a friendly helicopter as hostile, killing 6 service members and 1 civilian. The mishap stemmed from the incompatibility between Israeli-made missiles and Russian transport helicopters, which could not share identification friend or foe data. In response, India resolved to develop its own Violink data link system, showcasing it at the February 2023 Aero India exhibition. The service claimed it could provide real-time, accurate identification and positioning to all 3 services. But a month later, Fox reported a mid-air collision between a Su-30 MKI and a Mirage 2000 during exercises, leaving 1 pilot dead and another injured. Whether Violink can truly unify India's disparate fleet remains uncertain. Moreover, the print noted that as of 2024, some Indian military airfields still lack modern lighting systems. For example, some airbases still rely on flares for night operations. Even under a mere equipment-first lens, there is still a long way to go for India. The second strategic concept, people at the core. In 1938, Mao Zedong stated, "Weapons are an important factor in war, but they are not the decisive factor. The decisive factor is the people, not the hardware." This observation holds especially true in modern aerial combat. Pakistan's pilots fly on average 30 to 40 more hours per year than their Indian counterpart. Since 2011, the Pakistan Air Force has participated in the Shaheen joint exercises with the PLA Air Force, honing advanced aerial tactics annually. Military Observer Journal notes, Pakistan fields an aggressor squad that flies J-10S simulating Rafale capabilities, providing tailored adversary training. Thus, Pakistan's ability to down several Rafales in a single day was not luck, but a product of a decade of a relentless sharpening. By contrast, India's Air Force struggles not only with training quality, but also basic discipline. An Indian House panel report shows that from 2017 to 2022, over half of its 34 aircraft crashes resulted from human error, including the fatal crash that killed former Chief of Defense Staff General Bipin Rawat. A 2024 expose in the Hindustan Times revealed that at Ambala Air Base, India's first Rafale hub, a wing commander was accused of raping a civilian intern. The Week magazine revealed that he remained on active duty for a year, even forging documents that claim her as his spouse, subjecting her to repeated abuse in restricted military areas, such as flying areas. The incident has highlighted serious violations of military discipline, fraudulent financial transactions, and risking the safety of aircraft and armament in an active airbase. Yet, the Indian Air Force decided to administratively deal with the principal offender and not through the military's judicial process. When training standards and discipline are so deficient, India's decision to escalate the conflict only underscores its failure to recognize that its greatest weakness lies in its people, not its equipment. The third strategic concept, war is the most serious matter of state. War tests a nation's finances as much as its arms. Only by answering why are we preparing for war and what are we fighting for can an army gain a true soul, becoming the guardian of its people rather than a burden on taxpayers and a tool for politicians and arms companies to make money. On these questions, Pakistan has clear answers. Since 1947, India and Pakistan have fought 3 major wars, and the still disputed border remains a tangible security pressure on Pakistan. Meanwhile, certain Indian politicians stoke border skirmishes whenever their popularity dips, using the military as a rallying tool for nationalist votes, constantly pushing Pakistan to maintain a strong defense. For China, although the China-India border dispute still persists, India became unqualified to be the primary concern after the 1962 war. The real trauma came in May 1999 when the US bombed China's embassy in former Yugoslavia and murdered 3 Chinese journalists. Under international law, this was a direct assault on Chinese territory, yet the US dismissed it as an accident. Confident China lacked the means of retaliation, that arrogance spurred China's Project 995, fueling the rapid development of missiles, fighters, and other strategic weapons to ensure national humiliation would never recur. A quarter century from now, when 6th-gen stealth fighters casting shadows, DF-17 missiles cutting the horizon, and quantum satellites threading through constellations, no country dares to provoke China with force anymore. As for those ephemeral insects still twitching in the dirt, their limited power and perspective could never shake and grasp the grandeur of the ancient oak that's weathered 10 centuries of storms. Both China and India are the great ancient civilizations. Yet today, India uses the religion of conquerors and the maps of colonialists to justify neighborly bullying. Its actions betray not only the vanishing of Eastern wisdom, but also a deficiency in basic civility. If this continues, India will lose far more than a few Rafales. It will forfeit something precious the money can never redeem.
偷偷告诉大家，我最近发现了新法宝 Royal Face 逆时奇迹系列，它有活肤露、全效精华，还有精华霜。尤其我皮肤比较偏干，所以我非常的注重保湿。保湿做得好，肌肤自然烹润。提亮肤色更年轻，抚平皱纹超有感，而且气色变好。用心保养，每天都更美一点。美吧。